everyone, welcome back to my channel, Moon Apogee Astrology. I am your host, Shanna Cross, and this is going to be a new series that's going to be going through. I'm going to be going through a planetary series with you. So we're going to start with planets in the houses, and then I will go through planets in the signs. And so every few weeks you can expect to see an updated tutorial. We're going to start with the sun today, and so we're going to go through all the planets, the inner planets or the traditional planets really to start with, and then I will do an outer planet series after, but we're going to start with the sun all the way through Saturn. So today we're going to start with the sun and we're going to go through the houses, and so I will share my screen with you all. So this is going to be the new planetary series, Sun in the Houses, and let's get started. So the sun in the first house. So for natives born with the sun in the first house, there is an emphasis on the body. There's an emphasis what lights them up, what brings them joy, their direction, their purpose, their passion is kind of aligned with their ascendant sign. So the sun and the ascendant are not always in alignment. The first house and the ascendant ruler represent the person, their goals, their ambitions, their dreams, those types of things, the areas that they're focused on in life. And the sun is what lights us up, what brings us joy. So sun in the first house could mean that this person's, their personality, their persona, what lights them up, what brings them joy, the early conditioning that they had in childhood is one and the same. It's a similar theme, emphasis, things like that. Sun in the first house also means that this person is in charge of their life, right? This person is very much in control of their life. They have a personality that is magnanimous. They have a sunny disposition, if you will, depending on the sign in the first that occupies the first house. But generally speaking, when the sun is in the first house, their goals, their aspirations, their ambitions, even sometimes it can relate to their career, is aligned, and who they are is aligned with who they came here to be through the ascendant. Okay, so that's just one way of looking at it. The sun in the second house, what lights them up, what brings them joy, what their focus is, right? So wherever the sun travels wherever the sun travels is indicative of putting light, putting heat, putting vitality into that house. And so the second house has correlations with money, materials, possessions, the things that you value, your creature comforts, if you will, what you need to feel secure and safe at a financial level, right? So this is your hierarchical needs, if you will. So what you need, your shelter, what you need to feel safe, secure, and depending on the sign, obviously, depends on how you go about expressing this. But having the sun here, this puts a spotlight on this type, or this house emphasis here. And so having the sun in the second house, these people can be preoccupied with material possessions, or they can be nostalgic in a way, and they keep things right that are of sentimental value, right? That because Leo, the sun specifically, is the heart, and so these people very much are nostalgic and will keep things that are of personal value to them. So that is sun in the second house. Sun in the third house, these people, what lights them up, what brings them joy, light, heat, vitality, right? Wherever the sun goes, this is going to be communication. The third house is all about communication. It's all about your neighbors, your neighborhood. I've seen this placement especially with people that like to walk around the neighborhood, right? There's a connection here of like conversing with your neighbors, talking on the phone while you walk, things like that. Vehicles, even traveling, vehicular travel can be brought to some type of forefront with the sun here. And so with the sun in the third house, these people can be very chatty. These people can be, verbose, I guess is the right word to use there. But they can also be very much involved in even education. The third house is also early childhood education. It's also skills, and skills, specifically skills that we need. What's the word I'm looking for? Skills, not necessarily of the hands, but like coordination, things that involve coordination are with the sun here in the third house, bringing light to that. So if they're an artisan or they're a small business owner or something like that, there can definitely be an emphasis on that as well as like mercantile. I am recording this while Mercury is retrograde, just so you're aware. So my words are not always in sync with what the thoughts are in my head. So this is definitely people that are speaking, communicating, writing, teaching, things like that. Can be what goes on with people with the sun in the third house, what lights them up, what brings them joy, third house themes, right? And I'm sure by now, if you've watched through your understanding what we're going through here. So sun in the fourth house. Sun in the fourth house people are people that what lights them up, what brings them joy is home, family, property, right? This is also where we come home to after our working day, after our working years are done, right? So this person, their focus could be on being at home or having like a home-based business, right? The sun has a lot to do with our career usually, or our, where we shine the brightest kind of thing. And having the sun here in the fourth house, some of these people, they can be homebodies as well. They enjoy time with their family. What lights them up, what brings them joy is being around family or being on their property, in their home, those types of things, if they're more introverted than extroverted. So that is something there as well. These people, could also run a home-based business like a daycare, or even I have seen associations with the sun in the fourth house to do with restaurants, nurturing through food, those types of things, depending on the sign, right? The sign definitely will give you that coloring of what's there and what's going on, and that's the next series that we're going to do. But generally speaking, sun in the fourth house, there's a spotlight on the fourth house, on home, on family, on property, on the parents even, or what the parents are doing specifically. So that is the fourth house. The fifth house, what lights people up, what brings them joy, right? Having the sun in the fifth house, just kind of emphasizes their creativity and their expression and how they express what brings them joy, right? The fifth house is a house of joy. It's a house of fun and hobbies. It's a house of children. It's a house of play. It's a house also, it is a house of sex. So we do have to mention that as well. But it's a house of hobbies and fun and play and joy and things that you enjoy doing just because you enjoy doing them. And having the sun here can make for kind of a double emphasis on that, because the sun is what lights us up, what brings us joy, those types of things. But having the sun here, highlighting the fifth house, this person could, or these people, could be their focus is on their hobbies, on their creative endeavors. This could be someone that is also highlighted in such a way through, I've seen this in politics, I've seen this in actors, I've seen this in people that express themselves in very interesting and exciting ways as well. So it's the fifth house is a house of life. It's a house of expression as well. So I've definitely seen that there. That sun in the sixth house, these people, what lights them up, what brings them joy are acts of service or being of service, right? This is also light, heat, vitality is being brought to this house. Their health, their daily routines, their wellness, the things that they're doing every single day is a joy for them, right? So these people are people that will do something every single day that they truly enjoy doing, that makes them feel better or makes them feel good, makes them feel light and excited about life, right? So sun in the sixth house can definitely be a little bit more service oriented, being of service in some way, shape, or form. Also, health and wellness could also be a thing here with sun in the sixth house specifically. But also, employees, things like that. So there's daily routines. People here would be employees, what you're doing for your health, your wellness, your well-being, those types of things. Sun in the seventh house, what lights you up and what brings you joy are your relationships, are your one-to-ones. There's an emphasis here with the sun in the seventh house of maybe identifying with who it is that you relate to, because the sun, is the brightest thing in our sky, light, heat, vitality. And we could adhere to our relationships, and they're a sense of joy for us with the sun in the seventh house specifically. So that could definitely be a thing for people with sun in the seventh house. There's also an emphasis on contracts, negotiations, and agreements and things like that. All contracts, whether it be business, personal, long-term friendships, long-term partnerships, whether they're business or personal, are seen in the seventh house. And then we have the sun in the eighth house. Sun in the eighth house, what lights them up, what brings them joy, what kind of the emphasis and the focus on in the chart would be eighth house topics: death, taxes, inheritance, other people's money coming in from an outside source, whether or not that's through the government, through loans. I have seen this where people have agricultural loans, or money coming in from the government itself. That could be taxes coming back, that could be loans, or even inheritance of some kind. And especially with the sun, having rulership in early childhood of the father, it could be maybe there's something that the father imparted in terms of monetary inheritance to the child or the native that has this placement. The other part of that would be what lights them up and what brings them joy could be a focus on occult topics, right? Your astrology, your tarot reading, your esoteric magic, the Hermetic principles, anything that's taboo. This can also be sometimes associated with sex, but sex for power and control, money, things like that, right? So that can be some things with the eighth house as well with the sun. The sun in the ninth house, the emphasis is on, it can be on religion, it can be on your worldview, it can be on travel, right? Or higher education, or big picture thinking, institutions, like colleges and universities as well. I have seen some associations with the ninth house, if there is a 12th house connection, of hospital merger to hospitals and educational, right? The merger of the two, of like an educational institution where you have a lot of, doctors and whatnot that are around and things like that. I have seen that as well. But generally speaking, in the ninth house, it would be travel, education, worldview. It would be, learning something and understanding where you fit in, your belief systems, how you view God, the universe, the world around you. Sun here is lighting up this part of the chart. The people, their ego can be tied to kind of their dogmatic viewpoints as well, right? Because the ninth house is how we see the world, it's how we understand the world. And the sun here, the sun is basically our ego, or what we adhere to, what we aspire to, those types of things. So this person, some of these people could be, pious. Some of these people could be, I have seen ninth house suns, also as well, in certain circumstances represent military, higher ranking officials, those types of things as well. So that is Sun in the 9th house. Sun in the 10th house, these people are going to be focused on their career, on their public standing, their public reputation, who they are out in the world, who they are to the public or to their audience who watches them and sees them and understands them in that way. It's generally one of the first things that we really see about a person if they have the Sun in the 10th house is who they are out in the world, that type of thing. And their ego is going to be tied to their career. They can be very ambitious. They can be very hardworking people, depending on what else is going on in the chart. But their focus is going to be on their achievement, on their long-standing career, and the legacy that they want to leave behind after their working years are done. So that is Sun in the 10th house. Sun in the 11th house, their focus and light, heat, vitality, right, is going to be on group associations, friends, philanthropic ideations as well. Not necessarily charities, but there is kind of crossover between the 11th and the 12th house to do with charities. This would be more like, what kind of charitable organization do you adhere to? Do you belong to? Do you get behind? And a cause that you get behind where you're gung-ho about it and you're like, yeah, I believe in this. I believe in their mission. I believe in their values. I believe in their statements. This can be Sun in the 11th house people where they really do kind of adhere to a belief, or not a belief, but they adhere to where they belong in the world and who they belong with and who they align themselves with by choice. And so their ego will be tied to that as well. The other part of this as well is very much about, your social status and who you are out, and what type of social status you're achieving, right? Goals, long-term goals and ambitions is also a thing here with the 11th house. And so with the Sun here lighting this up, these people could definitely be more driven and more focused on achieving a specific type of social status in the world, even achieving a specific type of goal that they have in mind that they want to achieve. So that is Sun in the 11th house. Sun in the 12th house is a little bit different. Sometimes these people very much want to be away from the world. It depends on the sign that occupies the 12th house. But people that generally have the Sun in the 12th house are kind of more behind the scenes. They need a little bit more rest, a little bit more reprieve, a little bit more away time and downtime away from the world, away from kind of the humdrum, mundane, everyday kind of thing that goes on. And, they could, take sabbatical, or they could be the kind of person that kind of works behind the scenes if they're working, and they're doing things. They're not necessarily in front of the camera, but they're someone that would do some of the work behind the scenes in order to help others. And this is also people that they can be very sensitive to other people. They can be very sensitive to other people's energy. They could be very sensitive to, criticism and things like that, because generally speaking, when you have the Sun in the 12th house, these people can be criticized at times, and they're a little bit more sensitive to that criticism. But also Sun in the 12th house, they're going to be very charismatic, and they're going to be very nurturing as well, for those that are downtrodden, right? The 12th house has a lot of associations with hospitals and things like that, but it's also, these people are very compassionate people. The 12th house is a very compassionate house. Also, they could have a very fulfilling and a very charismatic dream life, right? Like their dreams could be stories into and of themselves as well. So with the Sun here highlighting the 12th house, it's not necessarily secrets or anything like that, but these people want to kind of escape from the world. So there could be, addictions and what have you, or a lack of understanding or a lack of seeing clarity around who they are and really finding what lights them up and what brings them joy. That can come a little bit later in life. So that is what I have for you. Thank you so much, and I appreciate your support. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. If you like this video, like it, share. If you feel so called, if you want someone to know their specific sun placement in a house, and you know what that could mean for them. Very basic, not too in depth or in detail or anything like that, right? So thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye, everyone.